So I've had some requests recently to feature more full-size keyboards, or at least keyboards with a 10 key. So Kzzi reached out to me and sent me the K98, so let's take a look at it. So, jumping straight into the box, the first thing you're met with is your big keyboard guide. That's right, this is your standard big pamphlet that tells you everything you need to know about the keyboard. And with this keyboard, you got a lot going on, so don't throw that away. Next up, you have your dual-sided keycap and switch puller. This is your standard affair, although it is branded, so that's a nice touch, but nothing to write home about, just your normal keycap and switch puller. And then lastly, you have a USB-C cable. It's a rubberized cable, again, nothing fancy, just your standard affair, but it gets the job done. So let's move on to the main focus of this, the keyboard itself. Now the Kzzi K98, as you can see, has the coveted 10 key. And I know everybody's been asking for more content around full sizes, so this is as close as you can get without it being an actual full size. Now here there are some compromises, so you'll have a modified shift key size, and then everything in the central area has been moved to the top, including your home, page up, page down, and delete. Note there are some keys missing, but you can also make up for that with the function key. Next up, we'll talk about the scroll wheel, because it's kind of unique. If we hold it down, you can power it on for when it's in wireless mode. And if you click it once, you can actually change between wired, wireless, and Bluetooth. You can adjust the volume by going left and right, and it kind of makes it really nice when typing. It doesn't feel off kind of like a knob where you need to move your hand a bit. This you kind of just scroll while you're typing. So it's kind of a cool feature. I didn't know how I was going to like the sideways design, but I dig it. Now, flipping over to the back, we can see that we have design choices that are still continuing back here, including the colorways. And then we have a small product information tag back here. I do like it when it's centered and small. And then we have this really cool icy design. This is like a weighted bar. It doesn't add a bunch of weight, but it does add structure and rigidity to the case itself. I do like that. It looks really cool, especially on a board that doesn't cost over $100. Next, we check out our flip-up feet. We do have rubber, and they do lock in place pretty well. Well, at least the tall one locks in place really well. The small one doesn't lock in place as well, but it's actually not bad. I've definitely seen worse, so I would give this a pass. Also, all the feet, if you don't have them flipped up, you still have rubber on each corner, so I don't worry about this sliding around. Now we flip it over to the front, or the top front. You'll see that we have our USB-C port, and then we have our storage where our dongle is for our 2.4. It is magnetic, and it just slides in nice and easy. And that's about it. That's the design and the first looks of the keyboard. And overall, I think it looks pretty good. I like the colorway, I like the design choices, I really like the rear insert. I think it looks neat. So, I think it's time we set up some software and give it a listen before we tear it apart. So, let's go take a look at software. So we'll head over to the Kzzi website. We're just gonna hit menu. We'll head down to download. And then once you're there, you'll switch it over to driver, and then you'll find the Kzzi hub. So we'll just download that and get that installed. And once you have it installed, you'll actually see your keyboard once you launch the software. Go ahead and click on your keyboard, and it'll bring you to the first page, which is your lighting profiles. Here you'll find all kinds of lighting effects that are already built in. If you click on them, they'll update on the fly straight to the keyboard. You can also adjust them in any type of way, so you can adjust brightness and speed. You can also adjust what colors they are. So if I want to change it to static red, I can just select static and select red. I can also adjust how red I want it. I like this because if I have a desk aesthetic that's a certain color, I can really fine tune it, and that's kind of neat. Also, if you want to change what your function colors light up as, you can do that here as well. So your default layer can be one color and then functions can be a different. That's nice. Also, if you don't want RGB at all, you can just toggle it off. A nice touch. I run RGB off a lot, so I like when I can just simply turn it off. Next, we'll head down to the next option, which is your key assignments. Here you can change all the values of your keys and what type of input styles they are. So if I want to make the A be a number 1, I just select A and press number 1. And now every time I type A, it types a 1. I can also adjust what my functions are on both function layers here. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of customization you can do here. As always, I would prefer QMK and FIA, but this is not bad. Also within the software, we have our macros. Here you can record your macros, you can set delays and loop times. You can also import macros you've already created and export and delete them, which is nice. Lastly, you also have your settings. In your settings, you can update your device, you can restore factory settings, or you can set your debounce. Your debounce options are office mode or gaming mode. So, it's up to you. Now that we covered the software, let's go ahead and give the keyboard a listen. Let's hear how it sounds straight out of the box. Alright, now that we've heard it, let's take it apart. Starting with our keycaps. So we'll go ahead and grab our keycap puller, pull one of our keycaps off, and we'll take a closer look. Now, these keycaps are double shot PVT keycaps. They are a cherry profile. They have a nice matte finish. They have color edge to edge. I don't see any chipping or warping. The legends are really easy to see and read. They're nice and clear. And overall, they're a nice keycap. They're nothing crazy, but they're definitely nice. They don't feel cheap, and they are pretty nice to type on. Next up, we'll go ahead and grab our switch puller and pull out one of the switches. They are the Wind Rain switches from Jersey. They're a 40-gram linear switch. They are factory lubed, which is a really nice touch. And they're a 5-pin switch. Now, honestly, there's two other switches I was considering for this. You can order it with the Rainbow or the Poseidons, or there's also the Rely or the Relies, but they're silenced, so I didn't want them. But regardless, I wanted the Wind Rains because they're known for being a bit more clacky, and I was really curious how it would sound in a completely stock keyboard from Kzzi. And honestly, listening to the sound test, I kind of dig them. So with that said, we need to go ahead and keep disassembling the keyboard. So I'll grab my switch puller and my keycap puller and I'll get to work. I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, with the power of editing, that was the fastest minute ever, and we can continue diving into our keyboard. Now, the first thing we see is we have a flex cut plate, and it appears to be polycarbonate. Also, we have clip-in stabilizers, and I'm going to lift it up to check they definitely are pre-lubed, and then also I want to check if they wiggle, and they definitely don't. These are probably the most secure plate-mounted stabilizers in a stock keyboard I think I've ever seen. That's pretty cool. And definitely going through all of them just to check to make sure we have consistency, because we want to make sure that we have a really enjoyable typing experience no matter where we are on the keyboard. And these all feel nice and tight, and they all are pre-lubed. So, move on to the next step, disassembly. Now we'll go ahead and grab our little storage box for our screws. Now note, this is a little bit of a pain. It's really easy to get this keyboard open. It's just Phillips screws all the way around. But it actually takes two different types of head, because as we get to the top here, you're going to see that we run into a bit of an issue. There's two screws that we're unable to access without taking off this back strip here. This back strip, however, is an Allen head instead of a Phillips head. So just make sure you're prepared and you have the right bits or the right screwdriver set so you can deal with this when you get to this part. But once we have all these out, the little black strip just pops right off. You don't need any pry bars or any special tools for it. And then you can actually access those two last remaining screws. Once they're out, you're done. And that's honest. You're completely done. Like, it's that easy to get into it. We flip it back over and you're kind of ready to just get into the case. Now remember, for this port, you want to go slow. Flip it away from you because we have a ribbon cable that attaches our daughter board and our volume knob to the board itself. So we want to make sure we disconnect that and don't rip it out. With that, you can see we have a really nice top case here. It's really nice and thick, and it feels really sturdy. Honestly, impressed. Set that aside, and we'll continue diving into the board itself. We're ready to take our plate and our PCB out. But again, go slow, flip it away from you. You're going to run into our second ribbon cable. It's the same connection style, so make sure you just flip up the little tab and the ribbon cable will come right out. These can be a pain. Don't get upset. Just take it slow. Usually a pain putting them back in, not taking them out, but you get my drift. Now, from here, you can see that we have our gasket mounts. These are the mounts that sit on top of our leaf springs because this is a leaf spring mounted keyboard. Now, flipping over the back, we can see that we have our rear PCB foam, and it looks like that our plate and our PCB are screwed together. We're not going to unscrew it because I want to run it with all the foams, but between here, we have our switch foam, we have a switch pad, and then we have a PCB film. We also have south-facing RGB, as you can see here as well. All in all, it's pretty impressive. Now, I do want to note that as you can take the screws out of here to separate your plate and PCB, the foam is adhered to the back, so be careful with that. But with that said, let's go ahead and focus back on the case here. We can see that we have a leaf spring design. That's really neat to see. It's not something I see a lot anymore, but if you're a person that really likes a bouncy keyboard experience, leaf spring is definitely the way to go. Now, I really want to talk about this PET sheet at the bottom. As you can see, I definitely struggle with this, and that's because it's got a decent amount of adhesive on it, and it goes all the way around. I'm not too sure what the point of this is. Maybe it's sound dampening, maybe it's a shorting thing because, you know, if your PCB comes in contact with these batteries, maybe that's it. Speaking of batteries, these are 6300 milliamp hour batteries, which is a lot. It's like 600 hours of typing without RGB, like a lot. But regardless, I'm gonna run it. I don't think it really changes the sound profile, but for safety reasons, I would definitely recommend it. Last thing I'd like to note here before we put everything back together is this case is strong, like stuttering strong. Like it is super strong. And I don't know if this weighted bar has that much to do with it, but it's definitely thick plastic. And I'm pretty impressed. It's not very often you have a plastic keyboard that you can't really bend. So hats off to you, Kzzi. That's pretty impressive. But now that we've torn down the entire keyboard and you can see how you can get into it if you feel like modding it yourself, I think it's time we put everything back together, and then there's one other thing that we need to do to this keyboard. So let's do that. Alright, with the power of editing again, we're now completely assembled. Well, minus keycaps. And that's right, I have a special set of keycaps for this. Now with the colorway being the black and the beige, I have a set that I've been waiting to put on something. And hear me out, what if you add Godzilla? Okay. Like seriously, look at the colors. Look at the colors of Godzilla, look at the lettering, look at the keyboard. This is a no-brainer. I had to put the Godzillas on this. I featured another set from Godzilla Mech series from Key Talk in another video, but I had to have like the retro-inspired Godzilla set. And I've been waiting to put these on a keyboard. And when this keyboard arrived and I saw the colorway, I thought this was a no-brainer. This had to be it. Especially since the Key Talk set is 173 keys. I know no matter what kind of layout I'm going to have with my keyboard, it's going to be able to fit. Seriously, with modified shifts, being different sizes from 1, 1.5, 2U, or even if you're building like an Alice and you need split spacebars and 2 B keys. These sets have everything. If we take a closer look, we can also see that the colors are nice and vibrant. The legends are easy to read. The keycaps themselves are nice and thick. Honestly, their quality control is just top notch. With 173 keys and the quality being there, it's kind of just been my go-to for really custom themed keyboards. I just really like a keycap set. If I'm going to get wild, I want it to be really worth it. And for me, this kind of delivers it. And no, I'm not biased because it's Godzilla. I have a dozen of different sets from Keytalk, and I just really like their themed sets. So, big shout out to Keytalk for making Godzilla Keycaps. That's awesome. And if we put them all together onto the keyboard, this is what you get. A really custom looking Godzilla themed 96% keyboard. And it looks like it's supposed to look like this. It looks like it's meant for this. I really love the coloring. I like the design choice. Some of you may know, I'm usually really into clean aesthetics, but there's definitely some themes that I just absolutely love. And this delivers. Honestly, I couldn't be happier with this build. So, with all that said, it's time to talk about it. And honestly, I'm into it. The out-of-the-box experience was great. Like, honestly, the construction feels solid. The sound definitely sounds good. Everything really feels cohesive. I mean, the stabs were pre-lubed. They're nice and tight in the plate. And, like, honestly, they just felt really nice to be completely stock. And it's a 96%, so you get the 10 key. And I know everybody has been wanting something with the 10 key. It has wired, wireless, and Bluetooth, so it doesn't matter what kind of connection you want. It's Windows and Mac compatible, and without it being on sale, it's $85. So that means if it goes on sale, it'll be even cheaper than that. So in conclusion, I think it's a pretty great keyboard. I think it has a lot of features at a really decent price range. Now obviously, I love a budget keyboard, and I love to be able to recommend them, but at this price range and this want for a 96% or a full size, this is kind of a sweet spot. With a lot of full sizes being much more expensive or relatively hard to get, or sometimes you'll be stuck in the gamer aesthetic where your only option is like Razer, and they don't really have quality of life features that a really nice keyboard like this has, where you have enjoyable typing experience or multi-connections. But ultimately, I'd like to know what you think. Is there keyboards that I'm not aware of? Is there other 96% or full sizes that you want to see? Is there ones that are secret gems that you keep from me in some weird game? I don't know. But all jokes aside, honestly, I'd like to know. So if you know, leave a comment down below. And that oddly rhymes, and that leads me to the last part of this video. I just want to say thank you. And if you could drop a like and hit subscribe if you like the content, it would mean the world to me. And if you want to check out the Kzzi K98 or the Keytalk Godzilla Keycaps or any other offers, they'll be in the description box below. And that's it. The end. Thanks for watching, and keep keyboarding.